G'day and welcome to another episode of Nate Finally Opens His Stuff! In order to save a little space in my toy room, I'm opening up figures that I've had in my collection for various amounts of time. Today we're going to be opening a whole lot of Masters of the Universe Origins figures. I believe there's 24 in total. I've been picking these things up over several years. So if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure that it was Motu Origins that was the gateway drug that got me collecting some modern toys. I started out as a vintage-only collector, but I saw this Heman on the pegs in my local Big W, and I thought it'd be cool to have on display next to my vintage Heman. But then, if you've got a Heman, you've got to have Skeletor, right? But the shop didn't have Skeletor at the time. So the hunt was on. I went back each week and checked until finally I managed to snag one. I think that opened the gate to modern collecting for me, although these days I am trying to rein that in a little bit and just be a bit more selective. Not just buy everything just because I think it's cool. Saying that, I've still been picking up the odd Motu figure here and there. I just have so much fun with Motu and they look so good. The Star Wars Retro Collection is another line that I have a weakness for, as you'll see in a future video. Anyway, now I've got all these figures that I need to open up because space is limited, and I've just had them stashed untidily wherever they fit in the room, so it's about time we release them from their plastic prisons. Let's get started, shall we? So yeah, these two figures were the first two Origins figures I got. I remember at the time people complaining about this Skeletor with his open mouth. I saw people on social media, they were heating the head up and closing the mouth because they didn't like him with his slack jaw. So then they released a version here with the closed mouth. I felt a little bit foolish at the time, basically buying the same figure twice, but here we are. Because there's so many figures, I don't want to spend too much time on any one. So yeah, we're just going to have a quick look and move on. Let's do this. Here we've got Heman with his mostly classic look. They did put a new head sculpt on him. Personally, I prefer the old vintage style head sculpt to this one. They did eventually release the Heman with the vintage head on it, but I didn't bother getting one. I really do like the card backs of this first run of Origins figures. It's great that they essentially just look like the cards of the vintage figures. You got some cool artwork on the back, plus a list of other figures that are in the line. Yeah, it looks really good. And that's part of the reason why I haven't opened up most of my Origins figures. I do kind of get attached to the way things look. Even though when I bought them, I didn't intend to keep them on card. Yeah, let's finally open him up. And he's free! Comes with a shield, his half of the power sword, which of course combines with Skeletor's half of the power sword, just like the original did, and he comes with a battle axe, which is pretty sweet. I did already have one of these He-Man figures loose, but he has been repurposed into my custom character Immunitor for my Masters of the Wild West series. So yeah, it is one thing I love about Origins figures. Is that they're great for handy little customs. All in all, it's a pretty great figure. So plenty of articulation if that's what you're into. Yeah, very cool. He also comes with a mini comic. I think most, if not all, of your standard Origins figures come with a comic. They're fairly basic. There's no actual dialogue, I guess, so they didn't have to worry about languages and things like that. But they're a nice little addition. Yeah, there's some pretty cool artwork in them. Alright, that's He-Man. Let's move on to the next figure. Alrighty, let's take a look at Skeletor. Okay, here's Skeletor with his open mouth fly-catching gape that had so many people upset. I don't think it's a bad look. I really don't mind it, particularly as you know that Skeletor spends a fair amount of time cackling or screaming at people. So this figure is just him mid... Yeah, he's a great figure. He comes with his armor, his Havoc staff, and of course his half of the power sword. And just to confirm, the two halves of the sword do combine. Looks like I might have to heat up He-Man's sword and straighten it out again. It Must have got bent in the packaging, but yeah, it's cool. Now I can finally unlock Grayskull. Here we have the mini comic that he came with, and I'm fairly certain, yeah, it's the same comic that came with He-Man. Alright, we may as well open the other Skeletor now. Alright, here he is. Obviously, different head sculpt with his closed mouth. Something I didn't know was that he has a full sword. He doesn't come with a half a power sword like the original one did. So yeah, that's cool. And I just noticed that I think there was a little bit of a misprint on this figure. This side, the black detailing for his teeth follows that sculpted line there, but on this side, it's curved up, so it looks like he's smiling. Maybe this is his work face, and this is his happy fun time face.
I'm going to rip out your liver and eat it! Who wants to come to the forest with me and pick blueberries?
They also changed up the paint quite a bit. He doesn't have the dark green around his face like the original one does. Yeah, and his eye paint is much smaller. Honestly, don't really know which one I prefer. Like the others, he comes with a mini comic. This one is actually a different one. Again, there's no words, and this one, I think it's a bit shorter than the other ones, but doesn't really matter. Yeah, more cool artwork. I like this picture here, that's awesome. Yeah, very cool. Cool artwork on the back of the card, more figures. Both versions of Skeletor have the same card art, there's just different figures in the line there. Alright, Orko, you're up. This is a really good Orko. He looks pretty much just like he does in the cartoon. One thing I do like about this version of Orko is that it comes with this stand, so he's floating above a little pool of magic. Yeah, I think that's a pretty nice touch, especially once you put him on the shelf with the other figures. You've got the option of putting him behind other figures and not losing him. The stand itself is articulated, so you can have him in different positions. It's pretty cool. Here's his mini comic. Again, no words, but a lot of great artwork. How cool is Scarecrow? Pretty awesome. Alright, we've got another version of He-Man and Skeletor. These are based on the 2000X series of He-Man, which I didn't even really know was a thing. I just saw these and thought, oh, that's a cool version of He-Man. So I grabbed it, and of course, if you get He-Man, you have to have Skeletor. See how the sickness grows. Anyway, let's open them up. Yeah, these guys look pretty awesome. I haven't seen the 2000X cartoon yet, but I do know it has a very different tone, a different story, and a different artistic style to the original Filmation series, and that reflects in the toys as well. The stylistic design of everything is very different. They all look fantastic. Skeletor's sword here, a very big departure from the original one, but very cool nonetheless. The staff, however, is the exact same staff as the other figures. They just cast it in this purple metallic plastic. I think he's really cool. And He-Man as well. Again, comes with a sword, shield, and axe, which you can store in the back when he's not using it. Power harness and his waist piece even are quite different to the original design. Yeah, I really dig it. Very awesome figures. And I really do need to check out that cartoon. Both figures come with the same comic. This series involves Sunman, which I didn't manage to pick up. I looked for one. I did find a pig face, which I have opened. But yeah, I never saw Sunman on the shelf in my local shops. So, and I'm not paying exorbitant prices for one. I would have picked up one at the time. But yeah, bit of a shame, but not a big deal. Again, you've got some pretty cool artwork on the backs of the cards. It looks really awesome. Now we've got a totally different wave of figures here. These were all to do with the Snake Men. Yeah, some really cool figures here. Let's start with Serpent Claw Man-at-Arms. This figure was one I ummed and ahed at for a while, but before I finally bought it. He was on the shelf for quite some time. I wasn't too sure how I felt about this color scheme. I don't mind it, but frankly, one of the biggest reasons I ended up buying this was because it sat on the shelf for so long at the local store that he came on special, and I was like, well, maybe if I buy him, they'll replace him with more figures, because they only seem to be buying like 4 figures at a time. So yeah, so that's how he ended up here, and he's grown on me a fair bit. I like the original Man-at-Arms much more, although His nice thick mustache is much better than this weird thin puberty mustache I painted on my Man-at-Arms figure. Alright, let's open him up. Yeah, he has quite grown on me. Serpent grabbing claw thing is a pretty cool accessory. Although when I did buy it, I did think that it was spring loaded so it could fire out at something, but it just turns out that it just pulls out. Some imagination required. Whoops. Good thing these are made to come out on purpose. I'm not sure what it is about the colors that throw me. Maybe it's the blue helmet clashing with the green a bit. I'm not too sure, but maybe if they had have left all his armor orange, that might have looked a bit better to me, but like, that's just nitpicking anyway. At the end of the day, he's a really cool figure. And he's something just a little bit different. Yeah, I like it. He also comes with a comic, and look, words! There's actually a story here. Yeah, it'll be interesting to go through and read these later. Very cool. Alright, Snake Tealer, it's your turn. Alright, Snake Tealer looks pretty dang cool. She's got a little loop on her back that looks pretty weird, but I guess it's kind of handy. You can store the sword in it when you don't want it in a hand. The sword itself looks pretty awesome, actually. That's a really cool design. I like it. And she's got this snake staff as well. She's a really cool figure. She'll stand out nice on the shelf, I think. I like her. Again, she's got some awesome artwork on the back. Let's look at some other figures in the line at the time. I remember I wanted King Randor back in the day. I never found one, but I wanted it because it looks like my mate Xazyl. Of course, she also comes with a mini comic. Yes, this one has words too. That's excellent. Unfortunately, I managed to rip this one getting it out of the packet, so I have to be more careful going forward. Yeah, this is really cool. I'll sticky tape that up later. Let's take a look at Terroar. I remember when they first announced Terroar, I looked at him online and I wasn't too sure how I felt about him. When I saw it in person in the store, I liked it a bit better. I quite liked the vibrant purple plastic. Yeah, it looks kind of cool. Really, I probably just bought it at the time because I felt like treating myself. He's not a bad figure. He comes with a tail that you've got to attach yourself. I guess you have to pull his arm off. And this cover, does it come off? It should. Unless you just got to poke it in underneath. Oh yeah, there it goes. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'll pop his robot arm back on. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting kit bash from Mattel. He comes with an extendable neck. Which it looks a bit goofy in this mode, I think. It's not quite right. Yeah, and he comes with the 3 accessories you can put in his robot arm, just like Trapjaw, which they've used here. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's probably my least favorite of what I'm opening today, but at the very worst, I thought it'd be good kit bashing parts to make my own characters. Again, we got some cool artwork on the back of the card. And some other figures, and now we're starting to get to the cartoon collection, which the next line I'm going to be opening up after these. And he's got a pretty cool comic. Oh, we're back to not having words, apparently. That's just lazy. But still cool. Yeah, still not entirely sure how I feel about Terroar. It would be nice if they had something on it that you could keep the extra parts in. That would have been a nice touch for these Origins things. That way you don't have to keep them in a drawer in a baggie somewhere. But at the end of the day, when he's with everything else, he's going to look cool on the shelf. Okay, Slamurai, you're up. I quite like this guy. Slamurai is, of course, a good guy version of the stealthy boy himself, Ninja. Yeah, he's really cool. I really like this armor removable part here that, yeah, they've managed to make it not too bulky or anything like that. They've done really well with this part, and if you want to remove it, you just press these tabs and it'll come off. Also, I really like that you can store his sword and his nunchucks on his back. That's a nice touch. I like that the nunchucks themselves have a flexible chain. It's not just a fixed piece of plastic. You see that in a lot of toys with nunchucks. And yeah, and he's got his bow, which is kind of like the one that Ninja came with back in the day. This is a really good repaint. Yeah, I really dig this figure. Awesome artwork on the back. He's going up against Lord Grasp, which is over here. He's got his comic book here, giving King Randor a manly clasp. Ooh, and this one has words. They're a bit all over the place with their comics. Yeah, really cool. Oh, it looks like he can also store the bow on his back. That's really awesome. I love that. Yeah, I love that he can hold all his stuff. Yeah, this figure's a win. I love it. Well, let's open Lord Grasp. Alright, here we have Lord Grasp. He's definitely a figure that looks better out of the box than he does in it. And this one's just another Kit Bash repaint from Mattel. He's fairly cool. But this is Clawful's claw just being reused here. At this point, I'm not too sure how I feel about it. A crab claw on a lizard man doesn't seem to mesh well with my brain. He comes with a shield. He comes with a black snake staff, and he's got this plastic cape that kind of looks like soft goods. So I actually think it would look better with real soft goods, but yeah, it's not too bad. And I guess he can technically hold all his stuff. Yeah. Some more awesome artwork on the back. I'm not too sure who this guy is. Yeah. Pretty cool. And we've got his mini comic here. Will it have words? No, it does not. But still, cool artwork inside. Yeah. Lord Grasp. Not the best character of the lot, but certainly not the worst. Alright, the last of my Snake Men lot, Reptilax. Alright, Reptilax. Really cool figure. For some reason the the shield's a bit loosey-goosey on his wrist here. I guess it's because he doesn't have the bad guy arms like Lord Grasp. His wrists are a little skinnier. He comes with a tail that just, you gotta plug it into his butt. I don't know, having a tail plug into a loincloth looks a bit bodgy. I think they might have been able to do something a bit cleverer there if they really wanted to. Comes with this massive axe, like that's cool. It looks like it can combine with something, maybe give it a longer handle or something. Probably it must have come with some other character, and then they just reused it for him. Yeah, he's a pretty cool character. The only thing that kind of irks me is the fact that his whole body is yellow essentially, but his head is green. I think they should have picked one color. Make him all green or all yellow, and I think he would have looked better. I don't know whether that's how he looks in a cartoon or anything, but that's just my opinion. He still looks good. Yeah, overall, pretty happy. The card back is completely different from the other ones. It's just one big piece of artwork, which frankly looks awesome. There's the snake lair that's currently trying to get funded as Mattel Creations. Personally, I would love to back that playset, but it's too pricey. And he comes with the same comics that Lord Grasp did. All in all, he's not a bad figure. He does look pretty badass, my small criticisms aside. Yeah, I do like it. And that's all the Snake Men series figures I've got opened up. I have to say they look pretty damn awesome altogether. Alright, let's open up some cartoon collection figures. We'll start with Man-at-Arms here. Now, as the name suggests, cartoon collection are figures that are made to look a bit more like they did in the show. If you've watched the original series of Heman, very few of the characters actually looked that much like the toy. Not that it mattered at the time, still, these are pretty damn cool. This release saw a new card back as well. The back looks very much like the other Origins figures, with a nice bit of art at the top and then other figures down the bottom. But anyway, let's open him up. Alright, he is a really cool figure. His accessories, this is quite a bit bulkier than his original accessory. Yeah, looks like it would hurt. And he comes with this thing. I don't know what it is. It looks like a traffic cop's checking speed limits. Pardon me, sir, do you know how fast your Dragon Walker was going? But in seriousness, I think most, if not all, of the cartoon collection figures come with an accessory that relates to a specific episode of the cartoon. So it's possibly in the comic book. Otherwise, I'd have to go back and watch the cartoon and figure out which episode it come from. Do you reckon we have words in the comic? We do not have words in the comic. But still, we've got some cool artwork. I don't see anything about his speed camera either. Yeah, Man-at-Arms is definitely a win. Yeah, I definitely like this figure. Okay, Teela, you're up next. Yeah, this Teela is great. She comes with a sword, shield, and some sort of murder robot. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Her armor is actually made of some weird rubber. Looks like if you wanted to make a custom, if you took her head and arms off, you could probably remove that armor and yeah, and do whatever. The sword is made out of a slightly softer plastic as well. It's definitely not rubber, but it's got quite a bit of flex to it. Maybe that's just because it's so tapered that yeah, it's got quite a bit of flexibility at the end. You have to be very careful not to snap it, I think. Yeah, she looks fantastic. This is a great figure. Well, she's got her comic here. No words or anything, but this one's got dinosaurs and dragons. Jeez, that's really cool. Ah, yep, there's the murder bot on the back. Some pretty awesome artwork. Oh, maybe it's a training bot. That's why He-Man's just standing back and watching. That's really awesome. Yeah, Teela is another great figure for the cartoon collection. Alright, let's take a look at Clawful. Yeah, Clawful looks awesome. I really like this figure. He's nice and colourful. He comes with this thing. I was wondering what that was at first, but it's some kind of a horn on the back of his card art. It seems to summon some sort of magical smoke. Again, you'd have to watch the cartoon to figure out exactly what it's doing there. But yeah, I really dig it. It's got a different comic book again. You've got Spikeor using the weird horn thing. Yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, Clawful. Pretty dang cool. Alright, let's open up the boss man, Skeletor. Alright, this is one awesome Skeletor. Everything about this figure is just spot on. He's got his power sword, he's got his Havoc staff. Yeah, he just looks fantastic. They really got the skull likeness right on his face. He also comes with these two masks that, I'm pretty sure in the cartoon they were evil masks that possessed the wearers, but they actually can be swapped onto the body of other Origins figures. So if you wanted to, you could have the characters that got possessed in the show on your shelf. You'd probably just have to find suitable other Origins figures to swap them onto. And you'd have whole new characters. These are a really cool addition. Yeah, the card art shows the two characters that I was talking about. It's a very menacing looking Skeletor. It's so cool. Just a quick look at the comic. Again, there's no words or anything. So yeah, Skeletor, great figure. And of course, where would Skeletor be without his lovely partner in crime, Evil Lyn? Let's open her up. Yeah, this is a great version of Evil Lyn too. Say these cartoon collection figures, I'm pretty sure are all winners. She comes with not one, but two magical staffs. This is her regular one here, and this one, I guess, has something to do with the cartoon that it's based on. Yeah, she looks great. Here she is on the back of the card with the staff. It looks like it casts illusions, maybe. And here's her comic. Really awesome artwork again. Yeah, nice. Evelyn, she's really cool. And now we've got Mer-Man, Matt from Keep On Collecting's favourite character. Let's have a look. Mer-Man is an incredible figure. The colours of the plastic really just pop. Yeah, he looks awesome. Comes with this cool trident and this little sparkly ball. I imagine it's some sort of powerful orb. We'll look at the artwork on the cover of the comic there. The orb just kind of sits in his hand. I imagine it's going to get lost very quickly. Well, I'll knock the shelf and it'll roll away. Maybe I better blue tack it into his hand or something. Got some sweet artwork on the back of the card again. Really awesome. I don't know who Beardy McGee is right there though. Just a quick look at his comic. Lots of splashing. Yeah. Very cool. Yep, I am a Mer fan of this Mer-Man. So we've looked at Matt's favourite figure. Now it's time to look at our mate Phil from Treasures for Triggers' #1 guy, Webstor. This is a really cool figure. I really dig that deep blue plastic that he's made of. He has a grappling hook on his back. It has it's not quite the same function as the original figure does, but it does come out and you can wind it back in slowly. Not exactly the play feature that the original one had, but it's definitely a nice touch. He also comes with a kitty cat, which is on the cover of this comic. It's the same comic that we looked at earlier, so we don't need to do that again. And just a quick look at his artwork on the back, with him apparently stealing the kitty cat. Yeah, Webstor for the win. And the last cartoon collection figure I have with this particular card back is Trapjaw. Let's open him up. Here's Trapjaw, and he looks great. I do kind of miss the skull and crossbones on his belt from the original figure. Still looks pretty cool. He only comes with 2 of the arm accessories, but he also comes with this crystalline boogery thing. I don't remember what that is. It looks great. The colours really pop. Yeah, he's an amazing figure. His comic's the same as one we've seen before, so we won't look at that. Here he is on the back, powering up with that crystal booger. That's pretty dang cool. How great do they all look together? I can't wait to get these on a shelf somewhere set up. It's going to be fantastic. And now we're up to the final 4 figures. If you're still watching, I am impressed by your patience and or stamina. These are all still cartoon collection, although they did change the card art. I'm thinking it's because these figures all have something more to do with the She-Ra cartoon. I'm not sure. All I know is that they look frickin' awesome. Anyway, we're on the home stretch. Let's rip into them. She-Ra, the Princess of Power herself. Let's open her up. Yeah, this is a great version of She-Ra. She comes with her sword and shield. She's got a cape. Yeah, she's a pretty cool figure. Quick look at her card art on the back and a comic. Ooh, we've got words again. Yay! Yeah, nice. Yeah, this is a fantastic version of She-Ra. I dig it. Yeah, I just noticed that not only does She-Ra kick ass, she does so in heels. Do it, lady. Let's take a look at Faker next. Alright, Faker looks pretty awesome, and essentially you're getting 2 characters in one, because he comes with an extra head that just shows him looking cranky. If you didn't want this to be Faker, you could just have this as Cranky Heman. He comes with a power sword And it has a sheath that goes into the back of the power harness, which I think is a very excellent touch. So you can just store the power sword in the sheath on his back, and it looks awesome. You can also make it look like he's just ripped the head off actual He-Man. That's a pretty awesome card art on the back. Very cool. And quick look at his comic. Yay words! There's the slime pit and Catra. Oh man, I'm looking forward to having a good look at all these comics. Yeah, Faker. I imagine it would have been an easy figure for Mattel to make, but it's pretty damn cool nonetheless. Happy days. Alright, Fangman, you're up. Man, this guy's a cool figure. I don't know that much about him, but I just saw him and I was like, yeah, he's cool. He's got to come home with me. He doesn't really have any accessories except for this hexagon thing here. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but yeah, he's pretty awesome. This shirt that he's wearing is actually rubber, and it just pulls over the top of an ordinary torso, which I think is a pretty cool way of doing it. He looks great. There he is on the back of the card, riding some sort of creature. Quick look at his comic. Oh look, it's New Adventures He-Man making an appearance. That's odd. Yeah, we're definitely keen to give that a read later. But yeah, Fangman, he's fantastic. And last, but certainly not least, we've got Hordak, the big bad guy. This guy definitely grabbed my attention in store. Let's open him up. Hordak looks awesome. He does have these weird flippery feet though. I'm not sure what that's all about. And he comes with, at first I thought this was a kettlebell, you know, for pumping iron, but it could also be a Pilates ball. You just know these guys would have a pretty rigorous Pilates workout. For me, this is definitely one of the cooler versions of Hordak that I've seen. Yeah, I like it a lot. And there he is on the back of the card doing his electric Pilates. Poor old man Tanner in the background. Looks like he's getting electrocuted and dropping through the trapdoor. Yeah, bad man. And here's his comic book. Something to do with slime. All the slime. Yeah, really cool. I dig it. And there are the last 4 figures of this video. That was a whole lot of fun opening these up. I didn't actually film them all in one go. I did it over multiple days so that I could kind of just enjoy it a little bit and fit it around, you know, real world responsibilities and such. Yeah, if you've watched it this far, thanks. And there we have it. 24 unboxed Motu Origin figures, and they look awesome. I have zero regrets opening them up. They're so great. Do you have a favorite figure? Let me know in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like, leave a comment, give the old algorithm a tickle. It all helps and I appreciate it. Also, I've recently started a Patreon account, so if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can find the link to my Patreon in the description. And to my new Patreon supporters, I have to say a massive thank you. I am so grateful for your support. It means a whole lot to me. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one.